you've came to the realization that Orient might be a better value proposition than Seiko. Hello and welcome. My name's Ken, and my goal is to unite different YouTube niches into one channel in hopes to inspire you to learn something new. In this video, I'm going to be discussing the pros and cons of each watch, the Kamasu or the Triton. I'm going to talk about my buying philosophy on which I would prefer as a watch, and then we're going to talk about the specs and the breakdown and the caliber of each watch. So let's get into today's video. All right. So we have the beautiful crimson red Kamasu on the right on a matching NATO strap, and then the Triton on the left with a classic Bond strap. So as you can see already, the Triton is a little bit bigger than the Kamasu. But before we get into the specs, I want to talk about purchasing philosophy. I would pick the Triton because it feels more rugged, it's larger, it's more legible, and it looks similar to the Submariner. So if you like that Submariner look, the bezel, the legibility of the indices, I would pick the Triton. If you are in the opposite camp and you like the Triton, or you like the Kamasu, and your grail, or you prefer the layout of the Planet Ocean, the Omega Planet Ocean, with the stick indices, I would say go with the Kamasu. That was my philosophy in buying these two watches. Was I wanted I hate to say beater because these are relatively affordable, but these are my beater watches for the Planet Ocean and the Submariner. If you wanted a more dressy watch and you wanted something to fit and hug the wrist better, I would go for the Kamasu. It's a little bit more blingy too. That bezel is more polished. The bezel coined edge is more polished than the Tritons. It's a little bit more flat and matte. And also too, you have a better symmetry with that date and window, that date and day window with the Kamasu versus the Triton. The Triton's 4 o'clock date window and crown, it looks a lot more tooly. And that crown is a lot thicker and girthier than the Kamasu, which makes operating and winding a breeze compared to that Kamasu. Let me screw this one in just so you can, so it looks better, more aesthetic. It is actually such a pain in the ass to turn the bezel, or turn the crown and the bezel too, comparatively. I'm gonna give you a sound difference between the two, and yeah, then we'll get into the specs and all that fun stuff. So let's begin with the Kamasu. It is such a pretty watch. You ready to hear this? It is akin to like a bicycle chain. I do enjoy it, but yeah, operating it is a pain in the ass. I will say, when it's submerged underwater, it is a lot easier to turn the bezel, as with most dive watches. If it's subjugated to water, it's easier to turn. And I have it on a very fun NATO strap from Crown & Buckle. They probably make one of the best NATO straps on the market because the machinery for the keepers is very firme. Next up, we have the Triton. It's a beast of a watch. It's thicker. Lug to lug is thicker. And this bezel action is so much more springier, spongier in the best way possible. Here's a listen. The feedback is nice too. Because you feel like the clicks and the sponginess coming off of the bezel and onto your fingers. I'd say this is, if I was going towards the more diver aesthetic and approach, I would get this one. If you like the dressier option and the smaller case diameter that comes with the Kamasu, get the Kamasu. But interestingly, the case diameters are the same, so they're both going to fit underneath the dress cuff equally well. I hope that helps. Now let us talk about the specs, the case specifications. So here we have the Triton on the left and we have the Kamasu on the right. They use different movement calibers, and then we'll talk about that in due time. They both feature a sapphire crystal, as you know. The case diameter on the Triton is 43.4, 41.8 on the Kamasu. Lug to lug is 51 on the Triton and 47 on the Kamasu. Case thickness is the same. So is the water resistance for both timepieces. They're both 200 meters. Bezels, they both click at 120, and their lug width are both 22. So good thing is if you have a consumer problem and you want to buy both, you just have to buy one bracelet and it fits both watches. And both of the bracelets that they come with is garbage. So please change out these bracelets. They don't feel as well as they could have, but they keep the cost down. And on Amazon, you could find these well around $200. I'll leave an affiliate link below, which if you do click it, it immensely helps out the channel. But you really can't go wrong with these timepieces. They're so nice. They're brilliant. They look beautiful. They're both strap monsters. Yeah, you'll love either of these watches. And if you're a collector, you might end up buying these two and the Mako and it's a rabbit hole, as I'm sure you know. Let's talk about the caliber. So the Orient Triton uses the caliber F6722 and the Kamasu uses the F6922. They both have the same power reserve and the same VPH, vibrations per hour. So both watches tick and sweep at the same cadence. Very smooth-ish. They're fine. Jewels are both 22, so the amount of wear and tear will be approximately the same, right? More jewels typically equates to less wear on the product because it's a smoother bearing for everything to move with the gears. They're both hacking and hand winding. I really don't know the difference between these two calibers, because if the power reserve is the same and the accuracy is the same, let's scroll down to the accuracy, minus 15, 25 seconds, minus 15, 25 seconds. I guess the difference in the caliber was to fit the case. That might be the reason why they have to change up the caliber and not use the same caliber. But yeah, let's have one last look at both watches. Closing thoughts. Let's get into it. I do enjoy how the seconds hand and the Orient logo, that inner shield, are both orange, which makes it pop. And if you wanted to put this on a different NATO to match, very extra, it looks really good. So we have a really nice orange NATO This one is from Blue Shark, bluesharkstraps.com. Check this out. The wait was worth it. Look at that. Boom. So now that orange matches the orange. Hedonistic, I know, but I think it looks pretty badass. Yeah, you can't go wrong with either of these watches, I think. Again, if you are in the camp where you like to lean more towards that Submariner look and aesthetic, I'd say get the Triton. And let me bring over the Planet Ocean one last time. If you like the Planet Ocean aesthetic and you want something very close, the Kamasu is, I think, absolutely the way to go. I mean, look at that. What's really nice about the Kamasu as well is the logo is applied. It's not printed. So you see that little extra sheen of that Orient logo versus the Orient, it's just printed and flat. Yeah. Both look amazing on a Strapco Jubilee bracelet too. But yeah, but please let me know down in the comments which is your preferred Orient diver. It could be either of these, or it could be a different one. A Mako, a Ray 2. I think they made a Mako 3 with a gorgeous white dial now, which I might pull the trigger on, but what an expensive hobby we have, huh? As always, for more watch-related content, post them every Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.